So today's task is to look at the function known as the if function, a very simple function to use. So in this column we are going to use the basic if function. In this column we are going to use the nested if function. So for this column there are simply two possible outputs that you are going to get. So one possible output is the text valid, and the other one is the text invalid. So you are saying given this condition, if days are less than 4, then it means it's valid. So we are considering this column for the days off. So if the days off for an employee is less than 4, then it's valid. Then if it becomes any value greater than 4, then it's invalid. So we are going to start the calculation for the if function. So like any other function, just start with our equal sign, then if the name of the function. So I'll continue with the calculations here. So it's saying if, what's the condition? Our condition, we are told if days off are less than 4. So this is where we have got our days off. So I'm going to click in that cell. Then we are told if they are less than 4, so I'm going to put the less than sign. So that's the less than sign. Then I'm going to put my 4. So days off. So just consider this condition as it is. Days off less than 4. Then so this is our condition, which is known as the logical test. So after that you place a comma. Then we move on to what is known as the value if true. So if this is true, what are we expected to do? Then the expected output is supposed to be valid. So I'm going to type valid. So since this is text, I'm going to type the word valid inside speech marks. So that's valid. Close my speech marks, comma. Then move on to the last part, which is value if false. So if it's false, then the expected output is invalid. So I'm going to put invalid like that. Then after that, simply going to close my bracket. So with this basic if function, it's just one opening bracket and one closing bracket, and that's it. So press enter. So my output comes as a valid for this one, because days off for this one is what? 3. So our formula is simple. So I'm saying if B3, which is this value, is less than 4, then it's valid. If it's not, it's invalid. So I'm going to replicate this formula using autofill, drag down. So wherever we have a value less than 4, then we are getting valid. A value greater than 4, greater or equal to 4, which is going to be invalid. So that's the basic if function. Very simple, which is 3 things to consider: the condition, value if true, the value if false. So I move on to the nested if function, which is a bit tricky but very interesting at the same time. So these are the conditions that we're going to look at. So the nested if function will have more conditions. So more than one condition, then it means it has to be a nested if function. So in this case, we have got one condition which is saying less than 1000, there is no discount. Less than 1.25, there is 5% discount. Less than 1.5, 10%, 15% discount. Then anything else is supposed to be 25% discount. So the whole idea here is the more you spend, the more in terms of discount that you're going to get. So you spend less, you get less in terms of discount. You spend more, you get more in terms of discount. I hope it's making sense. So I'm going to go on to put my calculations. So I'm going to say equal sign, then if. So open my if statement. So continue with my calculations there. So if what's the first condition? The first condition is saying in this case we are using the total cost. So if the total cost is less than 1,000, there is no discount. So I'm going to take my condition. So this is the total cost. Then we're told less than, so that's the less than sign, less than 1,000, comma, value if true. If this is true, if my cost is less than 1,000, what's the expected output? The expected output is no discount. So no discount, that means it's going to be a zero discount. Then after that, value if false. So value if false, this time we have got another condition. So that means we are going to start another if function. So I'm going to say if, then open bracket, choose my if function. Well, it's now a repetition of what we just have started, logical test. Our condition, the next condition is total cost less than 1,250. So I'm going to click on total cost again, less than sign 1,250, comma. If this is true, what am I expected to get? So the discount is going to be 5%. So my discount becomes 5%. 5% of what? 5% of my total cost. I hope it's making sense. Then after that, place a comma. Then the next one, we also have another condition. So we need to continue to nest the ifs until all the conditions are done. So move on to the next condition. The next condition, we're going to put our if. Then less than, so total cost less than 1,500 this time, comma. If this is true, then we're going to have our output is 10%. 10% off, we're going to multiply by total cost, comma. The next, we also have another condition which is going to invoke the if function again. So I'm going to choose the if. So the next one is considering 2,000. So less than 2,000, if this cost is less than 2,000, comma. Then what are we supposed to do? We're going to use 5%. No, not 5%, it's 15% this time. 15%. 15% of what? 15% of the total cost again. Then, comma. Finally, we no longer have a condition. So this is when anything else above 2,000, greater or equal to 2,000. So that means we are going to have a discount of 25%. We are not going to use the if because all our conditions are done. The last condition, you don't use the if. So we are just going to put the expected output, which is going to be 25% of the expected total cost. Then one important thing about the nested if is to make sure that you close all your brackets. So I have opened 1, 2, 3, 4 opening brackets, so I have to close all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you press enter. So this one, the first one, the value is 700. 700 is less than 1000, so that means there is no discount. That's why we are getting 0 as output. So this is the if function that we have used, the nested if function. So I hope you'll be able to try it on your own. So I'm just going to replicate the formula going down. So now you have my output. So if it's less than 1000, there is no discount. If it's less than 1250, so more than 1000 but less than 1250, then it means it's 5%. So 5% gives us 60. 5% of this value give us 60. Then anything above 1250 but less than 1500, the discount is 10%. So 10% of this value will give us that. I hope it's making sense.